Hello again, I am Blondie, and Once Human is going nuts right now. Insane, one might even say. The devs have just announced they're already up to 300,000 concurrent players, that is simultaneously online players, not the total player base, in one day. And the game only launched 5 days ago. We're not even a week deep yet. The Steam chart numbers show a peak of 231,343, so we have to chalk that missing 70,000 or so up to people playing through NetEase's own bespoke launcher, not through Steam itself. It is PC exclusive for now, but apparently there's a mobile port coming along as well. I can't wait to see that. It's been over 2 years now since I saw the first teaser trailer for this game. I was intrigued by its visual presentation of its big, spooky guy over in the distance and whatnot, and a promise otherwise of a game I would rather enjoy, I thought. But afterwards, it kind of slid off my radar. I didn't hear anything about it for ages. That is, until late last week when it launched and caught my attention again, and I decided to give it a go. So what you're listening to now are my first impression / initial review / hey, listen to me, if you're thinking about giving this a go, is it worth the download? Short answer is yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. If you would be really kind, if you could pop a comment down below, if you're curious about the game, have you been playing the game, let me know how you're feeling about the game and other stuff. Do the sub and the bell and the thumb along your way down there just to help us out on the YouTubes as well. Cheers! Now, Once Human describes itself as a post-apocalyptic open-world survival game. That's not quite the whole story, though. It's a free-to-play open-world survival, crafting, adventure, RPG. There's probably a few more descriptors you could slam in there and still be correct about it all. It's kind of a mishmash of different genres, but in the context of how it feels to play, to engage with, it lifts and rhymes from and with a few other games out there. Like, it reminded me a lot of Fallout 76, because I've been playing a lot of Fallout 76 recently, so that was my sort of touchstone for a little while there. There's some Division 2 in here a little bit, with the way certain things feel. There's Rust in here, the way some of the survival crafting works. There's even a faint whiff of Far Cry 5 here and there, believe it or not. It has got a huge map that feels quite pleasant to explore and travel through. There's dungeons, there's a variety of enemies, from paramilitary human organizations to, well, basically zombies, but it's one of those games that refuses to actually call them zombies, even though they shamble around and groan and moan just like zombies. But, they're zombies. They're not called zombies, but they're zombies, you know what I mean. You got mutant animals in here, and many kinds of otherworldly monsters too, some of which are massive in scale. There's world bosses, there's dungeon bosses, there's all the kind of stuff you might expect from something like this. There's a pretty classic resource collection system going on here for, you collect, you refine, you craft, you base build, you build your tools and your weapons, you upgrade your tools and your weapons and your armor, all that kind of stuff. There's farming in here. There's even vehicles you can drive around in and upgrade and repair. There's motorcycles and cars, and while the current active story chapters haven't unlocked them yet, there is apparently a camp van style truck, a pickup truck, or a ute as Australians would call it, that you can actually kind of build your own mobile base on the back of and on top of and drive around with your base. Which sounds super fun, can't wait to get to that bit of the game. And under all of that is a looter-shooter mechanic. Player power is gear-based, so you are only as powerful as the gear you are wearing and carrying and shooting with, and PvE and PvP happen on their own bespoke servers, which keeps the PvP type of players more prone to griefing and all-round toxic behavior. I know if you're a PvP player, you're going to take offense to that, but come on, look at yourselves. You know it's true. You guys can be dicks to one another. But yeah, those guys are completely separated from the co-op nature of the PvE players. You can play the way you want to play, and you're kept away from the players who don't want to engage with that. It's great. And for a free-to-play game, by the way, from out of Hong Kong, by the way, from the relatively notorious developers and publishers NetEase, as far as I can see, monetization revolves almost entirely around cosmetics and cosmetics only. I've heard secondhand at one point the developer said, well, we're never going to do pay to win, but who knows? Bethesda said that about 76 once, and now Bethesda has sort of pay to win mechanics in 76. It's not atrocious, but it's there, and they did promise not to do it, but There is a slight lean in one little corner of the shop towards giving paying players through a battle pass system and a separate subscriber system a bit more stuff and things, but nothing that really matters. And there is a gacha system in the game as well, but that is only used with an in-game earnable currency that you cannot otherwise buy for real money, at least for now. Who knows what the future holds on that, but for now, yeah, all over, I'd far more easily call this game lacking in pay-to-win crap, even with a wide descriptive net, especially compared to the other free-to-play MMO-style game that I looked at recently, the looter shooter, The First Descendant, which not pay-to-win in the most purest sense of the word. I made a very strong argument to call it pay-to-win in a different video I made last week or so. But as far as Once Human goes, outside of the heavily limited selection of cosmetic clothing choices and building cosmetics, a free-to-play player should be quite happy alongside paying players. There's going to be some jealousy about how cool they look and how cool their bases look and stuff like that, but you're not missing out on anything gameplay-wise. I'm 40 or so hours deep in the game now, about half of that I did on live streams over the weekend, and I do have some envy myself of some of the base building aesthetics I've seen other players being able to use, the paying players, but you know, it's nothing that affects my ability to engage with the game proper and have fun and enjoy myself. It's just a little petty jealousy, really. Because I do enjoy base building, and I would like to have a wider palette of choices available as a free-to-play player. And also, for a game that centers its core plot around a spooky, Lovecraftian, kind of otherworldly invasion and infection thing going on, there's also a determination to avoid being completely grim, dark, grotty apocalypse, gloomy, spooky pile of misery. Because like Fallout, and especially Fallout 76, there's a very dark humor at work here, and mixed in with that is an outright goofiness in other areas. For example, as part of this game, you can capture some from friendly wild creatures. Think of them as Pokemon or Pal World monsters or whatever. But you capture them and you can bring them back to your base, and you can use them as combat partners, or you can use them to collect resources at your base or for other beneficial stuff and things. And most of these are very goofy indeed. There is one I saw that I haven't captured myself yet. It's called Chefosaurus, and it's basically some mysterious creature in a dinosaur costume, complete with a zipper running up the front, which doesn't really jive with the spooky grim darkness of the rest of the game, but it balances out really nicely. Just, you know, something to make you smile. And for someone like me, who doesn't really jive with the pure horror stuff, the tightrope between spooky and wacky is a really fun walk in this game. There's just enough sugar here to balance out the puckering sourness. And I think I just called this game a lemonade. Sure, that works. This game is lemonade. Sour and sweet mixed together in a nice little balance. Nothing inside here is wholly original. It's all lifted and borrowed and copied and inspired and referenced from elsewhere, but that's fine with me so long as it's sewn together in a fun way. I'm okay with game devs using the same box of ingredients to make their game, so long as they do it and make their game feel like their game. And it is very obvious that NetEase didn't just slap this together as yet another quick cash-in, another Me Too survival crafting zombie game that's going to die in a year and, you know, they'll move on to whatever comes next. Coming into this game, as I tested it out live on stream on a whim on Twitch over the weekend, I expected it to be just that. A kind of middling, mildly insipid, half-ass, slapped-together mishmash of a game, hoping to snag a few gullible whales before the well dries up, but I was pleasantly surprised by how compelling it was, and how well all the systems worked and felt to engage with. It feels like the people who made this game gave a crap. They wanted to make a fun game. They wanted to make a good game, a game that is worth engaging with for a long-term, play. As far as criticisms go, there's some stuff I would change. Nothing that sort of is breaking here or there. It's a bit confusing in places as well. I got a bit frustrated once or twice, and there's some parts of the game is just flat out garbage at explaining about itself. But either through suck it and see, trial and error gameplay, or just by looking it up elsewhere once I give up, once you start getting a handle on how some of the more awkwardly implemented systems work, they do work really nicely. And to be fair, that is a criticism you can lay at the feet of many games like this. Because they are long-term games, once you figure out a system, it becomes second nature to you anyway. You never think about how confusing it was to learn in the first place. It's just that initial hump might bounce a few players off if they're not determined enough to learn it. But in my opinion, it is worth sticking through it, slogging through, pushing through that initial resistance, because once things start to click together nicely, it's genuinely fun. And if the developers continue to listen to and react to the player base actively, as they apparently have been doing throughout the various betas and stuff. I've seen a few conversations about stuff that was wrong in the beta, people complained about, now the developers fixed it. And even in the last 2 days after it was live, there's been a few examples already of people saying, hey, this thing doesn't work the way we would like it to work. And the developers are going, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Let's fix that, or let's look at fixing that, or we're going to work towards that. And it's always good to see a developer not just walking the walk, but talking the talk and implementing changes when people say, hey, how about you make it work like this? It would be more fun. But I think there could be a long life ahead for this one. It's a bit of a niche pocket of gaming. I mean, like Rust is, or Ark Survival Evolved, for example. But once games like this get a stable player base, they tend to stay healthy for a long while. People get really invested in these things and want to play them for years on end. And I think this one is in with a chance at living long and prospering. Especially considering it's free to play, so the barrier for entry is very low. Yeah, I think it could be quite exciting if they continue to listen to the player base and if they continue to stand by the cosmetics only shop and stuff like that. There is reason to be enthusiastic, I think. Or at least I hope. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you've let me know in the down below what you all think. Thank you to the patrons scrolling up above there. I am Blunty. Catch you next time.